Bill, it's great to have you with me today. I got the opportunity to actually meet you in person a couple times, and we finally got here for the podcast. And so I remember we were at Austin's event, I think about this time last year, if I'm right. And then at the Born the Risk event with the yacht and the book launch and everything that was going on there. So we got to run into each other a couple times, have some small conversations, and now you're here. So I'm excited to have you share your journey, part of your journey with the audience, and hopefully it can touch and reach that one person so they know they're not alone. They can get through whatever they're going through as well. So let's just start off, Bill, with you just sharing a little bit about who you are today, what you're up to, and then we can kind of dive back into your past and see how you got to where you are.
Okay. So thank you, John, for the opportunity to share with your audience and friends and family. And I appreciate the opportunity to make a difference in any life that I touch. Uh, I am a CEO and founder of Perfectly Imperfect Families, and I help provide financial clarity in retirement for business owners, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, families, special needs parents, families. It doesn't really matter. There's no judgment ever made. I help people where they are in their road to financial abundance and create a game plan for them to get there.
Nice. So let's just dive into that a little bit, right? So some people navigate and they go through this and they start helping people financially. And some people stumble upon it, maybe their family does it or something like that. But how did you get started doing something like this?
It's a great story. My mom was an accountant, my aunt was an accountant, my uncle was an accountant. And so I'm graduating high school, and in my yearbook, it says plans to become an accountant. And I go on my first co op at Drexel, and something just wasn't quite right. I was able to do all the work, but it was more about numbers instead of being involved with people. And I'm saying to myself, well, what could I do where I help people and have more interaction, but still do numbers? Hence, financial professional doing planning and giving clarity.
That was it. That's what got you started.
That's what got me started.
Yeah. Is it is what you're specifically doing right now something that was intriguing to you back then, or I mean, did you navigate to where you are today?
It was different back then because they saw me as a people person, and meaning my Drexel co-op people. And so they ended up putting me into sales and operations to learn what I was selling. And then it wasn't until a little bit later on in life that I fully concentrated on financial game planning for people. So I was always involved in sales and helping others, but it wasn't always strictly focused on finance.
Hmm. Okay. And so, so you graduated from college, and then what happened thereafter?
So I graduated from college and I went right into work in the world of transportation and trucking and did sales and operations, right? But I have a finance degree, which makes no sense, and a master's in marketing, right? And and I go into sales. So uh, I ended up, helping friends and family in finance, but then once I got them set up, my market dried up and I stayed basically within moving freight or transportation from there on.
That was it. So you were stuck in that for a while?
I was stuck in that for quite a while because I was good at it.
Hmm.
I'm able to see a problem, solve it logistically, give them a solution that saves them money and time and cuts costs, but also gives delivery expenses the down. And Uh, for instance, someone needs 20 loads of metal a week from the ports of Baltimore to go into Indiana, and they want to do it, 4 a day. And my solution is if we have 8 trucks available on Monday and 8 on Tuesday and 3 on Wednesday and 1 on Thursday, it's the same thing as 4 a day. So take advantage. Why limit yourself when you have excess availability?
Mhm.
And so we solved the problem, but we also created a solution for them where we put a warehouse that held the excess metal if they couldn't hold it, and would deliver it just in time to them so that they would never have to store it. And we solved that problem for them so they would have delivery when they needed it, so that it wasn't holding up space in the warehouse and things like that. And that takes a lot of coordination and control. So little stuff like that.
Yeah, the offsite storage and inventory for somebody else, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that and so I know that because of the where I'm at now and, what I've done in the past too with the inventory and outside warehouses and stuff, and, the outside warehouses, they just hold for a whole bunch of other companies in a sense, and
Yep.
I'm guessing that's where you're going with that, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot of stuff you could do just in that industry alone, and so how'd you gravitate from that to, I'm sorry, not gravitate, navigate from that to, what you're doing now and helping people?
So there was another in between step where I started working with schools, helping them place one-to-one teacher aides and paraprofessionals, uh, so that the students that were on the spectrum or had learning disabilities were able to get the services they need. And I did that for quite a long time. And what I noticed was when I was meeting with the parents, no one was really paying attention to them when it came to finances, and they were always struggling. And I'm like, well, how come no one's helping you with your budget? How come no one's creating a long-term care plan? And I kept asking the questions. And they're like, well, because no one wants to. So I'm like, well, what if I helped you? Like, are you licensed? I'm like, yeah, I've been licensed since 91. But, it's just not something I do because on a regular basis, because it's just my focus is elsewhere. They're like, well, no, we need your focus here. So what ended up happening was out of a labor of love, I got involved with that and started organizing, explaining how special needs trust work, how to fund a trust, what rules are legal in each state, and trying to make a difference in everyone's lives. And sometimes people don't realize that you could protect a family member for as little as $40 a month, especially someone that's atypical or neurodivergent, because every dollar counts. But if something happens to mom or dad, you don't want the child or adult child to go into state custody with no direction. So you want a game plan. So I taught families how to do that.
Yeah, that sounds great. I never I know about budgeting and all that stuff, right? But now you have a target client that you're helping. And it sounds like these people really need that. So is there a large client base for this? I would imagine.
There is a small client base for this and growing, but the problem is that people have to decide. And I don't know if you ever saw the show Everybody Loves Chris, right? But it was a TV show, and the mom had an addiction to chocolate covered peanut clusters, right? And they ran around $7 a week. And sometimes she had 2 boxes of that a week, and that was her only joy in life. So sometimes the mom has to choose between the chocolate covered peanut clusters or protecting her child, right?
Mhm.
Tough choice, right? So what I found is that majority of the people in that situation are choosing the chocolate covered peanut clusters and not protecting the atypical child. So there is a market for it. They just aren't earning enough to afford it or want to afford it. So I typically help families that have someone who is professionally employed, and the parent who takes care of the child at home is part-time employed, and they have two sets of income, and they have some disposable income, and then I could create that protection plan.
Gotcha. And so what's the process for that? How long does it take to create this and how, sit down with them and showing them numbers or whatever?
So, in order to create a protection plan for someone that has a child on the spectrum, it probably takes 2 weeks to get organized, knowing their budget, setting up setting up a special needs trust has to go through an attorney. That could take anywhere from 2 days to 2 months. Okay. And normally, most states, all states except for Texas, that cost runs roughly around $3,500 to set up that special needs trust. So it's not inexpensive and lawyers want to get paid. So that's $3,500 to set it up to protect the child. And then you have an ABLE account that can only hold so much money, and each state is different. And then any monies that come in as far as donations, if you have a special needs trust, it could go into the trust and sit there and not go into the donation of their ABLE account. And you could build out a behavioral plan for the child. So if something happens to the parents, someone could pick up the guardian or next in line for that caretaking, can figure out what it looks like for that child or adult in the day in the life, sort of like Rain Man. Tuesday is fish sticks and Wapner. It's not that simplified, but it's usually included, OT work, PT work, going to school or going to work if they're capable of working, and food likes, dislikes, a texture feel for clothing, things that would set a child off, like loud noises and alarms, etc. So you would be aware of all these things. It's a behavioral plan. And you need to update it every 6 months in order to stay current with the changing needs of the child or youth or young adult, right? So that's like one phase of what I do.
That's one phase. Okay.
Yes.
And then what? So then there's something else after that, is that what you mean?
Yeah, but I mean, for them, they most children and most families have typical and atypical children. So you know how if an airplane's going down, they tell you to put your mask on first,
Mm.
right? So what parents normally do is they never put their own mask on, and so they're stuck in this sandwich generation where they have their own aging parents, they have their children, they have themselves, and they don't know what to do first. Do I protect myself? Do I get my parents organized? How do I pay for my kids' college education? There's only so much to go around. Can we eat steak this week? Like basic questions in life, right?
Yeah.
And so, do I keep up with the Smiths and Joneses with all the latest toys and gadgets, or do I live under a budget? What does a budget look like? How much should I save? And these are the questions that you get. And you try to get them a roadmap to say, okay, you're this old. You have this many years until you're retired. Your budget now is going to be different than your budget in retirement. We have to get you to retirement with a certain amount saved so that you can live the way you want to. And most people's answers are pretty funny and simple. You ready?
Yeah.
They want to be able to, able to pay all their bills, spoil their grandkids, and take 2 vacations a year. That's all they want in retirement, right?
Yeah. That's it, huh?
That's it.
2 vacations. Um, that's yeah, that's interesting. So you're navigating people to get to this position where they're able to have something for their kids in case something happens, right?
Yep.
Um, do they how do they find somebody like you, right? Because you're the first I've come across to help this kind of client. Um, how do they look for you, Bill?
Well, you know, I'm out there, but I guess the best way of saying it is that, my company, Perfectly Imperfect Families, is describes everyone, right?
Yeah.
Because every family is perfectly imperfect, right? And so they can find me on perfectlyimperfectfamilies.com, or they could just call my cell, right? And that's how they could find me. But there isn't like, when you talk to a special needs attorney, they don't really recommend financial planners. They just want to get their $3,500 right there, the trust. And it's sort of like giving somebody a brand new car
Mm.
and not giving them the keys nor putting gas into it. Because having a trust without knowing how it works and how to utilize it to your advantage doesn't make sense. And the lawyer doesn't really explain that.
Yeah, like you said, they just want their money, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, they won't even, like, refer you or anything like that, or
I've, y- geez, I've been doing this since 1991. I've
Uh-huh.
yet to have a referral from a lawyer. I've always
Really?
referred to a lawyer. I've not got a referral back. I would love to be shocked with the plethora of referrals from lawyers in because I want to make a difference. but
Yeah.
I usually refer 50 cases a year to attorneys
Okay.
uh, to get special needs trust.
Wow, that's a lot. So you're doing a lot then. You're
Yeah.
helping a lot of families. That's great. That's
Well, it's
awesome.
some families. I mean, I also help business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, fractionals, you know, because they need help too. They need a way of lowering their taxes and
Mhm.
worrying about the future, which, right now we've had The Walking Dead as president and President Orange coming in back to back years, and none of them have addressed Social Security. And if it continues the way it is, it goes bankrupt in 2035. And 70% of our budget goes to Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. 70%. And it's going to go bankrupt. So think about that, right?
Yeah. That's
So,
scary.
yeah. So hey, we have to have a game plan around it for the future in retirement. Someone like yourself, you have a shot, right? Because you're going to be working another 20, 25, 30 years,
Mhm.
and even retire if you might not look like some of the people that are listening, right? The
Yeah.
retirement looks different to everyone.
Yeah, I personally always thought I won't have anything, right? So I just start looking at it that way. So I might as well just focus on what I'm doing now, helping others in other ways, like podcasting, having people like yourself on. Because what you just said, it's so scary, and so I don't even know what my kids are gonna turn into, when they get to that point. Um, so I don't, it sounds like you're kind of where I'm at as far as you are sharing with me that you love doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
You love helping others and supporting them in the ways that you have found that you can do that with financial advice and building these trusts with them and everything. I also have found that too, and so I believe, and you can back me up on this, that that's what we all probably should be doing. Something that we enjoy as much and we're passionate about because we keep doing it. And why I bring this up is because we might not make it till 60, 65 when Social Security could be around and we retire, right?
Right.
I know the numbers are going up, I think, or whatever from what I hear. But, so why not do what you love now? Would you agree with that? We just continue to do what you love and how you can support others?
It's never a day of work if you're doing what you love, right? And so I'm going to continue to practice for a minimum of 14 more years. I'm 60 and I've
Mm,
been doing this for a long time, right? And I want to do it for a minimum another 14 years because I love what I do. It's not really a job, right? I get to help everybody every day. Now, when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do is you don't have a V8 moment and say, wow, I need to speak to Bill. It's sort of like something shakens in your life and you're like, ah, someone passed and they didn't have insurance, or someone just retired and they realize they have to go back to work as a greeter at Walmart, or they can't afford health care, or etc. Right?
yeah.
So it's an event. And so wouldn't it be better if you started planning in your 20s and 30s, even though your mindset wasn't on it, just if you save a little, because it's not how much you save, it's where you save it. Right. And the key is tax free retirement. So it's not a 401k. It's not an IRA. Okay. Because that's 1971 thing. It is tax free retirement where what you earn is what you keep and not losing money in that saving strategy ever because it's a contractual floor. So you know what happened in 2001 and 2008 and 2021 where the stock market crashed, and even in this past March where it went down by 8 to 12 points. You could avoid all those losses and never take them on by having a game plan that has a built-in contractual floor that when your money goes down, it's not allowed to go down below 0.75 or 0.75%. Therefore, you never lose. Well, if you never lose money, you never have to recover. If you never have to recover, you're always growing positively. And if you average around 10% growth annually over a 20-year period, average. So what does that mean? 8% one year, 12% the next year, 14% the next year, 6% the next year. 0% the next 0.75 the next year, the following year 14%. And when you look at it over a 10-year period, it averages out around 10%. So that means that after 7 years of being involved in the system, every 10-year point, your money essentially doubles. So you start out for 7 years funding it. And then from that year 7 through 17 is where your money compounded interest takes off and doubles. And that's really what the game plan is to have that money take off and double so that when you take distribution, your silent partner, Uncle, and I said that 40%, because guess what happens next year? Your taxes in this calendar year are up 8%. So if you're in the 24% tax bracket, next year you're at the 32% tax bracket, and that's federal, not state. So now if you're at 32% and state taxes are 8, there's your 40%. Voila.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how come what you're teaching or how you're helping others is not like mainstream and like, people don't know about it?
There's not a lot of commission on what I do because the what financial planners want to do is manage your money and get paid a management fee. They also want to put you into products and services where they have hidden fees and charges. And so in the end, on paper, you're making 8%, but when you subtract the managerial fees and targets, they could be getting anywhere 4 to 6% of that. And that's why they could afford to take you out to lunch at a very expensive restaurant and spend $200 on you because they just made $6,000 on you. So I'll take that trade every day, right? What I do that's different is there's nothing hidden. There's no managerial fee, there's no maintenance fee, there's not accounts under management fee. It's just doing what's best for you. So it takes the step of being a fiduciary and puts it on steroids because a fiduciary has been ruined by these companies that advertise on the radio and TV that I won't mention their names. As, oh, we're a fiduciary. And all that really means is putting your best interest ahead of their own. And they're really not, because if they're taking cash income, a percentage of your growth, and then there's a managing fee on top of that, or they say, we only make money when you make money. Okay. Well, why don't you just charge them a flat number then
Mm.
and not take money on top of money? So, to give you some type of indication to what it's all about, hidden fees are $8,000 per $1 million held. So, most people don't have $1 million in the bank or wherever, but you can divide that. And if you say a half million, it's 4,000. If it's 250,000, it's 2,000. And that's annual charges. That's hidden. So if you're with somebody for 20 years and your account keeps growing, not only are they getting their 1.9 to 4% management fee, but they're also getting these hidden fees coming to you, as well as other charges and account balancing fees. And when you add all these things up, you're getting ripped off.
Mm. So you're losing money.
And yeah, well, on paper, you're not, but in real life, you are, because you're still putting money in consistently. And when they sell to balance the account out, there's only so many accounts. The balancing of your account doesn't need to be done so often. They just do it to generate a commission on the sale.
Mm, sneaky, huh?
Uh huh.
Wow. So you don't do that. So I want to say that you're more heart based. Like you're doing
Yes.
this because you love what you're doing to help others. And so, however you're getting paid, you're accepting that. You're not getting paid. It doesn't sound like you're going to get paid monthly or yearly or whatever. It's just like a one-time deal. Is that correct?
Correct. It's so the company gives a small stipend. So my business is based on volume
Gotcha.
and
Okay.
helping others. Right. So when you help someone, it gives you joy. It's like Christmas morning, right?
Mm.
You teach someone, you go downstairs, and there's presence, right? And so if you can make a difference in someone's life and provide them clarity, right? you're set. And then the best thing they could do is not keep your name a secret and tell others about you.
Right. Agreed. Yeah, and so a as you're doing this with clients, you're sitting down and you're going over things, and, of course, I'm sure some people don't I don't know your process that well, but I would imagine some people are like, "Nah, this ain't for me," and they just move on. How do you feel when you go through something like that? You know, you're trying to provide something. Yes, you're not getting paid for it, but you're spending that time. Do you feel like it's a loss?
Yes and no. So, look, we come into a situation where there's no judgment and they tell me where they're at and where they want to go. And then you know, ask them questions. And I ask them, the key questions are, if you do nothing, right? If you're doing nothing right now, from this point forward, where does that leave you in retirement? Okay. It leaves you here.
Mm,
If you go with the strategies that I'm introducing you, it leaves you here. So logically, would you rather be here in retirement or here in retirement? Right now, if they decide they're not moving forward with me, it's either because they've lied somewhere along the process where they're not telling the truth of how much money they have, or they're embarrassed because they're $70,000 in credit card debt and they don't want to tell me, or they're living above their means in their house and they can't afford to. And so, in the end, if they don't move forward, there's nothing more I can do except be disappointed that I can't help them. Right.
yeah. Understood. Yeah, so really, I guess in the beginning, some people might not have the extra money set aside that they can help start this.
Right. But
Okay.
that, yes and no, there's always a way to get started. And it could be as little as $40 a month um, to get started, or it could be unlimited, meaning $1,000 a month, $100,000 a year to put away, depending on what they're earning and what their savings is like. But no matter what the amount is, someone like you or I can start in a tax-free retirement savings plan for as little as $250 a month and gradually increase as prospects come in or you start earning more. And realistically, that's the way to go for your kids for college. It's not a 529 plan because it's not flexible, right? And so it's the same old story. What people don't know is what they don't know, right? And so then until you educate them and give them that knowledge, they are they don't know. And you want
Yeah.
them to get the knowledge so they can make a decision on their own. And I don't force anybody to do anything. If they want to walk away, they walk. It's okay. I don't want buyer's remorse. I don't want them to think about it and not be able to afford it. So I'd rather someone tell me the truth from moment one than not.
Mhm. No, I completely understand. Yeah, so you rather get everything up front instead of going all the way to the end and then find out that it can't be done, right?
Right. It happens maybe once a week where someone says things to be a big shot because they're on the call with their wife and they want to act like a big shot. And then when you do the numbers, they don't quite make sense. And then when you look at it, they really are something doesn't work, right? Like they live at a $15,000 a month budget, but they're only earning 9,000 clear. Well, how are you operating at a $6,000 a month deficit?
Yeah.
And are you telling me the truth about your credit cards and why are you driving an Escalade as your secondary car and the BMW as your primary car and they're leased and you're living in Haddonfield, New Jersey, $1.2 million house and the mortgage is this and your taxes are that? Something's got to give,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, some people just cover it all up. Like you said, maybe they're embarrassed, right?
Right.
And and a lot of people are experiencing stuff like that, and they're going through this, and so they don't like, for example, with the whole podcast, right? So they know they're not alone, right? So you bringing this up, people know, okay, it's not just me that has this financial problem. Okay, okay,
80% of us, 80% of us are living paycheck to paycheck.
okay.
80 right now. Okay.
Mhm.
And The difference between our country and other countries is that the other countries outside of the US, the first 20% of what they earn goes into the bank, and then the last 80% is what they have for their living expenses. So they're already saving for a rainy day and retirement from day one. That's their mindset. We put things on credit cards that we can't afford. We're not saving with a purpose, right? Now, I'm not saying all. I'm saying we as a big plural we. But I can help people get out of debt. I can help people formulate a budget. I can help people get a credit card the right way for the right reasons and improve their credit score so they can buy their first house and guide them to the proper real estate person and mortgage professional because they'll do them right, right? And take care of them. And and give them the advice because you don't want to buy a starter home and then move in 5 years. You just wasted 5 years of money paying down a house that you're not going to use. There's simple things like that, right? So it's okay to be in some debt. It's okay to be living paycheck to paycheck now, as long as you have a game plan. But if you're just bringing money in to pay off credit card bills with no game plan, that's not the way to live life. You want someone to coach you or teach you how to budget. What do you really need? And I'll give you a simple one. If you're an Amazon addict, before you hit buy, put it in the cart and wait 24 hours. Okay. Do I really need this? Do I need this sweater? Do I need these shoes? Does this influencer's opinion really matter that much to me? Right? Etc. And think about it for 24 hours and then see if you want to push that button. That's one simple thing. Another simple thing, coffee, Star Schmucks. Do you really want to spend $9 for a coffee when you can get the same result from either buying an espresso machine and doing it yourself at home or having a Keurig? Either way, it pays for itself by the end of the month, right? And I know somebody from Minnesota who had $30,000 on their credit card from Starbucks.
Wow.
Okay. And it took them 18 months to get out from that to zero balance. I helped them, but that's what they had. And the first thing I did out of my pocket is I sent them a coffee machine and coffee. I said, here, this will get you started.
That's a good
And
idea.
they got out of it. And then when they got out of it, their, their credit score went up. They got a better job. They organized their life. She got married. She was going to the gym. Like her life changed because she wasn't addicted to that.
The
It was
stress
one
of
thing that
things.
started. Yeah, yeah. One thing. It was just one switch.
Mhm. That's great. That's awesome. Bill, you just dropped a whole bunch of great advice here, and I love what you're doing to help others and support them in many ways that we discussed, and probably so much more than what we just discussed, if I'm right. Um, but would you like just to share again how they can contact you?
Well, if they're are they seeing this live on their screen?
This will be live as well, yeah, on video as well.
Okay.
Yep.
So if you look right there, that's my QR code, and that's all my social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, X, webpage, and my webpage has over 50 articles written. I have numerous podcasts and TV interviews that are on there that are informative. And that company's name is Perfectly Imperfect Families. And look, the best way to get a hold of me is my cell. I'll answer 267-278-5062. I'm here to help and make a difference in every life that I meet. And it doesn't matter how silly or uncomfortable the question makes you. I'm sure I can come up with an answer or know someone who can provide that answer. So whether it's financial help or help in a business or just how to reduce your taxes, simple things I can teach.
Awesome. Thanks, Bill. I do have one question to ask you. I ask everybody else.
Mhm.
What are 3 key things you've learned and used along your journey?
Three key things that I used and that I learned along my journey. One, no matter who you meet, treat them with respect and love. So if you're walking into a business and it's a secretary or a door person or a security guard, you treat them with the same respect as you would a president of a company. Two, you never judge a book by its cover. Um, you 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 just listen, help, ask them, what can I do to help and support you today? Okay, and provide that help. And the last thing is, I'm a firm believer and a person of faith. So I believe that if you put God at the center and the foremost of everything, and you surrender your thoughts and your actions to Him, things have a way of working out because it's thy plan instead of my plan.
Love it. That's awesome. Yeah, the whole faith, just to touch on that a little bit, that has definitely changed a lot of things for me. So for me, my faith journey was probably about 3, almost 4 years now. So it's definitely has increased, and definitely in the past less than a year now, it's definitely gotten a lot better for me. Not to say I know everything that's in the Bible, but it, going to church and believing more, it has changed a lot. So I agree with that, having faith and carrying that through whatever you're going through, releasing the worries and the doubts. Go ahead.
So you're young in your walk,
Hmm.
and I'm a lot older in the walk, not judging, just letting you know. The more you surrender to Him, and I'm talking simple things like when you get up, thank Him for the day. You're grateful for the day. Thank Him for His love because He loved you first. Thank Him and be grateful for the opportunity to interact with others and to spread His word and His joy. Thank Him for allowing you to do what you love to do and supporting it in ways known and unknown. Thanking Him for creating a pathway for you to be a success in His eyes, because you always want to be in alignment with Him. I say Him because it's you and I. We don't know him or her, right?
Mhm.
But I just say Him. Regardless, when you put Him first, things have a way of working out. And that reading the Bible every day, even if it's just one sentence, gives you your bread, right? Listening to worship music fills you up with joy, and how it teaches you how to overcome anxiety and fear. Remember, His language is a language of love, and all He wants is your heart. And when He has your heart, you have energy and positivity that you can go out and share with others. And when He asked you to go make disciples of all people and all nations, it wasn't a request, right? So when you share with others the goodness that has come to your life because you now have a relationship with Him, you change lives and you get the privilege of helping others know Him as their Lord and Savior, your Lord and Savior. And that makes the biggest difference in the world because it teaches people to love on one another and to grow together in community.
Thank you. I'll definitely have to listen to this again. That's for sure. I appreciate it, Bill. I appreciate you coming on and sharing everything. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, John. If there's ever any need, doesn't matter, as a problem, and you need someone to pray for you, to to worship with you, to give you some guidance through intercession, I, I'm there. I mean, I'll help you any way I can. And, Lord, we reach out and we ask you to bless both John and his family and uh, his dog, and provide them with wisdom and discernment, your cloak of peace and protection, and allow him to be a shining example of his love through your love to others that he touches. Allow him to live in abundance and prosperity and to see your blessings upon himself, upon the future of 1,000 generations, just like that Carrie Job song. And we ask that also the audience and listening, that each life that is touched is touched by your hand and your love. So they are blessed with abundance, wisdom, and discernment and prosperity as well, because we know that anything you touch can be healed and made perfect and whole. And we ask this in your son's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Bill.
You're welcome. Didn't expect that, did you?
You know what? I love podcasting, so I'm willing to take anything I can get. Right? This is great. Um, yeah. So I'm gonna stop here, and we can chat after this.